Not my story. During my period there, I obviously learned a great deal. I learned about hardship. My family obviously endured their own experiences. My kids were dismantled as I was. Everyone went through their own ordeal equally. But most importantly, as I was there, I decided that I wanted to write a book because I was angry. I was angry at the system. I was angry at life. I was angry at the universe because I kept saying, this is not what I planned. This is not what I signed up for. I remembered that early on when my mom used to go grocery shopping, I used to put on my Wonder Woman costume and I used to go with her everywhere with this little costume on. I used to go to the bank, supermarket, everywhere, wearing this costume. And all of a sudden, I was stripped naked from that costume and I felt helpless and hopeless. I lost myself completely. And so I had to find myself. I had to dig very, very deeply. I had to apply the tools that had been given to so many people up to that point. I had to offer them those tools, and now it was my turn to offer it to myself, to save myself, from my story. Because it wasn't until I went through that experience that I learned that we are not our stories. That we are not defined by our stories. And yes, we all have many stories, interesting stories, powerful stories, motivational stories, but we are not our stories. Our stories do not define who we truly are. And I had to embark in that journey and in that plan that the universe had for me. And as I was there and writing this book, and I remember that I had so much anger and so much pain because I constantly kept telling myself, I don't belong here. I didn't do this. I felt that it was unfair, unjust. I felt that I had no support. I lost many friends. I lost everything. People whom I truly thought would be there with me through this whole experience. But then I realized that this wasn't their experience, it was mine. It was my own journey to face. And in finding myself, I found my weaknesses. I also found my strengths. I found that I was blaming the system, I was blaming the people who were involved, and that the more I blamed, the more I hurt. I was truly hurting. And so I remember that my time there, I spent a lot of time running. Actually, I was running about 7 miles a day. It was my therapy. When I was sentenced, I recall saying, I'm not going to go there to help anybody. I'm going to go there and I'm going to write this book and I'm going to tell everyone what happened to me. I went with that victim mindset, that mentality. And little did I know that as I was there, I actually had an opportunity to meet incredible people and help these people. People were coming up to me while I was running on the track. There was a track and we could run in this track. We were able to run, we were able to play tennis, but at the end of the day, this was still a prison. One very valuable lesson that I learned while I was there was that I always thought a prison is a place you go to. And it's not such. It's not. A prison is a place you live inside of, and oftentimes in our own heads, in our own minds. And the reality is that up to that point, I actually had been living in a prison my whole life. See, I had a very thriving practice. And I had incredible practitioners, and we served many, many people in the work that we offered. And I oftentimes worked 10-hour days, 5 to 6 days a week, because I was fully dedicated to my plan. I wanted to save people. And that's what I did. Not realizing that I was sacrificing not only myself, my life, my happiness, because I had that desire to help others, but I was sacrificing also my children and their time and that time that you don't get back. So while I was there, I learned the importance of not sacrificing yourself to serve others. And that there isn't a reason to sacrifice yourself to serve others. Because the first thing you have to do is serve yourself, most importantly. And I wasn't serving myself. But yet, day after day, hour after hour, I continued in my own practice to give these tools to my clients, to the people that I served, and tell them, You cannot sacrifice. You have to put yourself first. But I was the first one that wasn't putting herself first. I was putting myself last. So I learned. It was a great lesson. It was an incredible journey. It took a lot of hardship, a lot of tears, a lot of losses. When I went to prison, I had lost everything. Absolutely everything. There wasn't a dollar to my name. Everything was gone. The radio show with Y100 was gone. As a matter of fact, a month before I was indicted, I filmed a pilot for a reality show, and TLC and Oxygen were fighting for this pilot. So I was at the peak of my career. I was exactly where I had planned to be. I had worked so hard, so dedicated to serving others, that when this happened, all I could do was question why. But little did I know, I was given an opportunity to reinvent myself, an opportunity to find who I truly was and what I was truly meant to do. And so as I was writing this book while I was in prison, I continued to write chapter after chapter, documenting stories of these incredible women whom I had the opportunity to serve my time with, women whom absolutely many of them did commit their crimes, but women whom, like you and me, are also mothers, sisters, daughters. I witnessed women on the phone. We only got 15 minutes a day to speak to our family, parenting their children, doing homework assignments with their children. Women who didn't know where their children were because they had been removed from them and now placed in foster homes. Women who had made mistakes. And during this journey, during this, what I considered to have been an incredible journey in my own personal life and my personal growth, I realized that I had to shift my mindset. See, my mindset up to that point had been all about sacrifice. And now it was time for me to start working on me. Truly on me, the way that I had deserved to work on myself, but I had not honored that in me because I thought my role was just to serve. That's what I thought. I'm here to serve. So it didn't matter what it took. My role was to serve. And when I came out of prison, I was placed in a halfway house for 3 months. I didn't know what was worse, if the halfway house or prison. It was also very challenging to live in a halfway house. I came out of prison with not a dollar to my name, not $1 to my name. But the universe had another plan. And little did I know what that plan was. Considering that I was now a felon in the eyes of the law, and I had committed a crime according to the law, I thought I would never be able to bounce back again. I thought, who in the world is going to come see me for me to help them? Right? Who's going to want to come see me? Well, the universe had a very different plan. I was released on April 18th, 2013. And on April 20th of that same year, I was in an office and I was working as if nothing had ever happened, as if time had not passed, and I was able to share and to continue to serve, but differently, very differently. Because to me, having gone through that journey and that experience, it had to be worth something. It definitely had to be worth something.